Hi everyone, I'm Shaylin here with Reedsy, and today we've got another Q&A video where we're going to be fielding some of your questions. If you have any questions you want answered in a future Q&A, you can leave them in the Google form linked in the description of this video or any of our recent videos. So let's jump into it. The first question here is boundaries around taking inspiration from real people. My general rule with this is if the person you're basing the story on can identify that it's based on them and you are not on good terms with that person, it may not be a good idea. If you are on good terms with that person, you should probably just ask. I don't think there's anything wrong with taking inspiration from real life or from real people, but you don't want to get sued. So the main thing you want to ask yourself is, through this character or story that I'm writing, am I revealing any kind of personal details about someone's life that they could identify as themselves and also feel that I'm crossing a line in terms of sharing private details about their life? That may be crossing a line, and so you may want to take some work to more carefully camouflage the character or story so that it's not identifiably about this real person. But there's nothing wrong with taking inspiration from real life and real people. On some level, everyone does it to varying degrees. If you are taking inspiration from a real person that you're close with, you can always just ask them if that's okay. The next question is how to incorporate subtlety into writing. I think one of the best ways to incorporate subtlety into writing is to go back to the age-old writing advice of show, don't tell. Inherently, showing is going to feel a lot subtler than telling, and so if there's an aspect of your story you want to be very subtle, then I would lean much more heavily on the showing end of the spectrum and not telling. So if you want, say, the themes of your story to be very, very subtle, then I would never tell the themes. I would never explicitly state or discuss the themes. If you were writing a story where you wanted the themes to be more explicit, you could do that, but if you wanted them to be very, very subtle, then it's something that would just be shown, so it would never be stated explicitly. It would just be played out actively. So I think that that's really the key to subtlety is if you want something to be very subtle, you never address it directly, you only show it and only implicate it. We have entire videos on show don't tell. You can check those out for further resources. The next question is, how do you write about things that you have no personal experience with? Especially things that are impossible to research, such as feelings or relationship dynamics. This person also gave a specific example. They said that they are aromantic, but they want to write about a relationship dynamic, but they don't have any experience. I think it helps to not put certain things on a pedestal and remember that you've probably written about many things you have no personal experience with. They're maybe just things that feel more intimidating. So it may feel intimidating to write about romantic relationships if you have no experience, but you've probably written about a lot of things you have no experience with. This one is just more intimidating for whatever reason. And everyone has this. Everyone has these gaps in their life experience that maybe feel more intimidating to write about. But when you think about what you've written, I bet you've written about plenty of things you don't have personal experience with. So think about how you approached those things. Think about how you connected with those characters and those experiences through the process of writing, and then just apply it to this situation. And the other thing that I would really recommend is to really think about the specificity of your characters. A lot of the time when we're thinking about writing things that we don't have personal experience with, we get so caught up on trying to capture something that is general, right? So you're talking about writing about a romantic relationship, so you might be asking, what are all romantic relationships like? How do I write a romantic relationship in a very general way? But every relationship is different. And every character is different. Instead of trying to capture this very general, broad thing that you don't have personal experience with, hone in on what you do know, which is your characters. You know your characters, and so you can think about the dynamic that would be unique to them. And it doesn't have to resemble a relationship dynamic that any two people in real life would have. No one in real life are these two characters. So really think specifically about your characters and creating a dynamic that is specific to them. But I wouldn't worry so much about capturing these kind of broad questions about like what is a romantic relationship like, because that doesn't really matter. What does matter is what is the relationship between your two characters like, and you can kind of construct that to be however you like. That's where the best writing comes from too, right? Is specificity and originality. You don't have to write two characters that resemble any two real people, and their relationship doesn't have to resemble any real relationship. But if it's genuine to the characters, and it comes from two specific well-drawn characters, then it will feel genuine to read as well. And so the final question that I'm going to answer in this video is, when writing contemporary, do you need to use as much description as you would in fantasy or science fiction? Most people know what a school bus looks like, but they wouldn't necessarily know what a starship looks like. You may need to use more description in science fiction and fantasy, but it doesn't mean that you have to use less in contemporary. So contemporary fiction can often get away with less description because, just like you said, a lot of things that we're going to be describing are familiar, but that doesn't mean that by nature contemporary fiction needs to have less description. If you're a writer who really likes description and you have a very descriptive style and you write contemporary work, your work may have just as much, if not more, description than a sci-fi or fantasy writer. So yes, a lot of contemporary fiction can get away with being a bit sleeker and more minimal with description if that's what you want, but it doesn't inherently have to be that way. So that's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any new videos from us. We've got new writing, editing, and publishing tips every Friday on this channel. Until next time, bye!